There's a claim that you've probably heard over and over again that XRP has to be at a high price in order for it to function. You'll hear people say it was designed to work at higher prices, or that there's some preset value waiting in the background, or that utility alone will suddenly force the price to go up. Some of these ideas come from good intentions, and some come from misunderstandings, and some are just hype. So in this video, I want to slow this down and strip out the noise and walk you through what the XRP Ledger actually requires to work and how utility can really influence the price. No chaos, just the mechanics. First, we need to separate two things that often get mixed together: how the XRP Ledger actually functions and how the market prices XRP. The XRPL is a decentralized settlement ledger. It does three core things: validates transactions in seconds, routes payments across assets using pathfinding, and uses XRP as a native asset to enable that routing. Nothing in the protocol says XRP must be $10 or $50 or $100. The ledger processes transactions the same way at $1 as it would at $100. So right away, we can clear up the biggest misconception. XRP does not need a high price in order to function at the protocol level. There is no line of code in the XRPL that requires a minimum price. There's no hidden switch, there's no preset valuation. The ledger works based on transaction fees, account reserves, and liquidity paths, not price targets. But, and this is the nuance that matters, that doesn't mean that the price is completely irrelevant. Let's talk about what XRP actually does on the ledger. First, fees. Every transaction burns a tiny amount of XRP to prevent spam. This is a security mechanism, not a supply shock feature. Second is reserves. Accounts and on-ledger objects require XRP to stay locked up. This keeps the ledger efficient and resistant to abuse. These create some structural demand, but they are not what moves the price in a meaningful way. The most important function is the third one: XRP as a bridge asset. The XRPL can automatically route payments between assets, and when XRP is the cheapest or most liquid path, it gets used as the intermediary. This is called auto bridging, and this is where utility can start to matter. Here's the key distinction that most people miss. The system does not require a high price. It requires liquidity. Liquidity is depth. Liquidity is tight spreads. Liquidity is the ability to move large value without slippage. Now, higher prices can certainly help with that, because fewer units of XRP are actually needed to move the same dollar value. But price itself isn't the requirement. Liquidity is. This is where people often mean, sometimes poorly, when they say that XRP needs to be higher. What they're really saying, large-scale payments require deep, efficient markets. So how does utility actually influence the price? Through utility demand. If XRP is used heavily as a bridge asset, market makers and payment providers need a working inventory. They hold XRP to quote tight spreads, absorb flow, rebalance positions, and manage risk. As flow increases, required inventory can increase. And when more participants need to hold XRP, not just trade it, they can create sustained demand. This is the real utility to price pathway. Not a magic repricing, not a secret number, but consistent demand to hold inventory in functioning markets. So here's the clean takeaway. XRP does not need to have a high price in order to work. It needs liquidity. A higher price can be a result of utility and adoption, and it can help efficiency once liquidity demand grows, but it's not a requirement of the ledger itself. That's the long view. That's the difference between mechanics and mythology. And that's how you think about XRP without the chaos.